Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, entitled Mom Demands Money From Me Year After Year. After that, cancel my leave, say goodbye to your promotion. After that, I got mistaken for a Walmart employee at a self-checkout. And after that, entitled home ec teacher tries to tell student how to cook her own family's recipe. Now, Karen assured me if we can get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't mistake you for an employee for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And by the way, huge shout out to our newest official member of the Re-Army, XV Peasant. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Join as an official channel member today, and I'll give you a special shout out in our next video. Entitled Mom Demands Money From Me Year After Year. This happened several years ago. I was driving in my car, listening to Bon Jovi on my radio, singing along to Livin' on a Prayer, when I saw a mother and her 2 kids standing by the side of the road and frantically trying to flag me over. This was in the time where I had already learned that nothing good ever comes from picking up people on the side of the road. Yet, I still had the mindset that one day, maybe somebody really would need my help, and I didn't want to prejudge them because other people have been jerks in the past. I pulled my car over and rolled my window down, asking if they were okay. Tearful, the mother said that her oldest son was in the hospital and she needed a ride to get to him. I told them to hop in and I would drive them. South Africa is a very poor country, so whole families counting on rides really isn't in any way uncommon. The mother climbed into the back seat with her son, who was about 5, and daughter, probably around 12, climbed into the front seat. This is important. All the hospitals were in the opposite direction that I was going, so I turned my car around and started in that general direction. I asked her which hospital her son was in, and she gave me the name. I knew exactly where it was, so continued driving. The mother asked my name, and I introduced myself as Roland. This wasn't my real name, but was an alias I had started using when introducing myself to homeless people and hitchhikers. She introduced herself as Entitled Mother. We drove in silence for about a minute when the daughter started sobbing. The following line exchange occurred between her and her mother. Translated. Daughter: Mom, I don't want to sleep on the street tonight. Entitled Mom: I know, baby, but I know God will provide a miracle. But Mom, where will that miracle come from? Maybe he's already sent it. I face-palmed hypothetically as I knew where this was going. Entitled Mom tells me, Roland, won't you help us? I am helping you. I'm driving you 30 minutes in the opposite direction of where I was going. But please, I'm a single mother, and I need you to just open your heart. I can't have my kids sleeping on the street, and I just need some money for food and some school things. Daughter: Yes, Roland, please just help us. I was getting uncomfortable, but was sticking to my guns. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Why not? You're rich. I really wasn't. Yeah, I'm not. You're rich enough to help us. Listen, lady, I'm not going to give you any money. So if you don't drop this, I'm not going to take you to your son either. Fine. Then if you're not going to help us, then just drive us to... Insert business park here. Me: That's nowhere near the hospital. Have you forgotten about your son? If you're not going to help us, then we can't afford to visit him. Me: Okay. I drive her to the new place that she had requested and pulled over the car. I'm not getting out until you help us. Daughter: Yes, please, Roland. Just help us. God sent you. Me: I'm not going to help you. This exchange continued for a while until she finally got out, calling me a bunch of choice phrases in the process. I thought that was the end of it. Silly rabbit. Cut forward a few months later. I don't recall what I was listening to that time, but I'm near the place I had picked them up the first time when I see a kid standing, crying, alone next to the road. I had mostly forgotten about my incident with Entitled Mom and stopped to ask him if he was okay. He was still crying, and I told him to get in so I could drive him to a police station. Out of nowhere, this same entitled mother appears and gets into the car as well. She's in the back, he's in the front. I recognize her instantly, but she obviously did not remember me. She started her line reading and rehashed the same story about having a son in the hospital, blah blah. I just played dumb. Then it happened.
Mom, I don't want to sleep in the street tonight.
I know, baby, but I know God will provide a miracle.
But Mom, where will that miracle come from?
Maybe he's already sent it. Hearing this, I was actually mad. By now, I obviously knew that the mother was a con lady, but literally teaching her kids scripted lines, teaching them that from an age as young as this kid was, I felt slightly sickened. Entitled Mom started asking me for money again, but this time I just ignored her. I pulled over in front of a police station and warned her that she had 10 seconds to vacate my vehicle or I was going to get someone to do it for her. She yelled at me again but complied, and this would be the end, right? Nope. Cut forward a few years later. I'm driving again in a completely different side of town when two girls literally jump in front of my car and yell for me to stop. I roll the window down and frantically they tell me that someone's chasing them and I need to get them out of there. I quickly unlock the car doors and they get in, one in the front, one in the back. I start speeding away and ask them if I should drive them to the police station. They say no and ask me to drive them into town. Then it happens. The one in the front speaks the words. Girl 1.
Friend, I don't want to sleep on the street tonight.
Girl 2.
I know, but don't worry. God will provide a miracle.
Girl 1.
But where will that miracle come from?
Girl 2.
Maybe he's already sent it.
Girl 1 was entitled mother's daughter that had been in the car a few years earlier. Would you give Karen a ride if you thought she needed some help? Let me know in the comments. Next we've got cancel my leave? Say goodbye to your promotion. I used to work in a disability shared accommodation agency. It's a job where you support 4 to 6 people with disabilities who share the accommodation. It's shift work, 2 clients per staff member during the day, 1 staff member on a sleepover at night. The rosters are 4-week rotating rosters. I was employed as a .75, meaning I work 75% of what is considered full-time, equating to 57 hours a fortnight. Working shifts sucked, but the pay was good. I was working in a house I'll call Sunup. Sunup had 4 residents and 7 workers. Each house had a house supervisor. They reported to the cluster manager, who managed 6 houses. Cluster manager reports to the CEO. By company policy, leave requests are first in, best dressed, meaning you need to put your leave in early to ensure you get it. I was transferred to Sunup from a 6-client house due to my qualifications and situations I cannot legally disclose. I worked for the first year, got to know staff, clients, house supervisor, etc. There was an obvious clique between 4 staff members. Each school holidays, 3 would apply for leave and 1 would call in sick with a medical certificate covering the same amount of time. They would always rotate who is sick to hide what they were up to. They were friends outside of work who would party together. After a year, the house supervisor fell sick. One of the clique members, Karen, was appointment acting supervisor, and it went to heck. She tried reducing my hours and giving extra time to a friend. I pointed out that I'm contracted for 57 hours a fortnight, so I'm getting paid for 57 hours a fortnight. Her friends got extra shifts, were given the best shifts, and were all around favored by Karen. In January, I put in leave for March school holidays. Karen rejected it on the grounds that others had already submitted leave. Her clique all applied for this time. I left this alone. In March, I checked the leave calendar for the June school holiday. Each house had a leave calendar, so management and staff can check who scheduled leave. It was empty. I submitted leave again and it was rejected. Karen said, "Sorry, you were too slow." Karen said that A, B, and C, her clique, already submitted leave. The next day, the leave calendar showed this. In May, I checked Christmas leave calendar. Put in my leave, and sure enough, got the same result. This annoyed me as I have a family that I wanted to take on holiday. I spoke to the cluster manager, also part of the clique, who said there was nothing I could do. Note, I had no leave taken in 2 years. January the following year, the clique was on holiday. We had a gastro outbreak across our facilities, so we were short-staffed. All available staff, including CEO, were covering shifts. I was rostered on with the CEO one shift. During the shift, he said to me, "OP, you have a bit of leave accumulated. You should probably take some." Me, I put in 3 requests last year. All were rejected, as others apparently already applied for those dates. CEO, let's lock in your leave now. Me, okay, how about 4 weeks over Christmas? I filled out the form, CEO signed it off, he filled out the leave calendar, and put my application in Karen's office. I was on sleepover that night, so I took my application, photocopied it for myself, and replaced under the mountain of paperwork in her office, knowing she wouldn't see it for a few months. In March, I checked the leave calendar. I noticed my Christmas leave had disappeared, replaced with Karen, A, B, and C. I didn't say anything as I had a leave form with CEO's signature. Fast forward to October. Original house supervisor passed away. Acting supervisor was appointed permanent supervisor by the cluster manager with a mandatory 3-month probation. December comes around, first week of my leave. I get a call from Karen. "Where are you?" Me, on leave? "I didn't approve any leave. Get your butt to work now." I come in, Karen chews me out, stating she didn't get an application form. Even if I submitted it, she would reject it. "As you should know by now, that we always take 2 weeks in December and January." She wrote me up for insubordination. I worked that shift. When Karen left, I emailed the CEO, filling him in on what had happened. He called a meeting with me and Karen. CEO, what happened? Karen cutting me off. OP took it upon himself to approve leave. I wrote him up for skipping work. Me, actually, I submitted leave in January while you were away. No, you didn't. CEO, yes, he did. I approved it and added it to the leave calendar. Karen, oh, we already had 4 staff booked on leave. CEO, show me the leave forms. Karen, I destroyed them. Me, handing Karen my copy of my form signed by the CEO. CEO, OP is on leave. I'm going to sun up and I'm investigating this situation. OP, my apologies. Go home. I'm extending your leave by an extra week. I go home. I come in 4.5 weeks later to be told that Karen has lost her promotion. She is on thin ice. CEO found out that Karen has been rejecting leave requests. She shredded my request without looking past the date. She deleted my leave from the calendar. The CEO told Karen that this borders on fraud. The CEO also separated the clique to different houses. He changed the leave policy to state that he must sign off leave requests. In addition to house supervisor and cluster managers, he ensured that all staff had access to prime leave dates. Karen was fired 2 weeks later for failing audit requirements. Edit. To clarify why the CEO did grunt work, funding bodies stipulated that during day, 1 staff was required for every 2 clients. We were short-staffed across the board. There was lots of juggling staff. All staff employed with the company not on leave were working in-house, including CEO, cluster managers, administration. They were rostered on with qualified staff who took the lead. CEO had social worker qualifications, social work experience, but no support worker experience. It was an extreme situation that could see funding withdrawn. What would you do if Karen wouldn't let you take any of your leave? Let me know in the comments. Next we've got, I got mistaken for a Walmart employee at self-checkout. We've got crazy lady, we've got actual employee, and me. I apparently chose the wrong day to go to Walmart after work. Before I start, let me explain why there is no way this should have happened. I work in a kitchen. I was wearing black jeans with holes, a gray shirt with the name and logo of my work on it, steel-toe boots, a hat with a monster logo on it, and my ponytail sticking out, and my black sweater. My shirt and my pants were also dirty and had some food spills on them from, working in a kitchen all day. I got off work around 9 and decided I didn't want to cook when I got home, nor did I want to order food from my work. I eat there quite often, so I wasn't in the mood for it. So I made the grave mistake to go to Walmart. I went and picked out something that I could just throw in the oven when I got home, so I could clean up while I cooked. It was 9:30, 20-minute drive from Walmart to my job. By the time I got to self-checkout, I scanned my food and put it in the bag, but as I was doing so, someone stood in line behind me. No big deal. They're just waiting for their turn. Nope. Apparently, this lady thought I was an employee. As I began to walk away, she began to shout at me. My memory of the interaction may not be perfect. I was tired and very hungry. Karen. Hey, where are you going? Me. Huh? Aren't you going to scan my stuff? Why would I do that? At this point, I'm super confused and haven't quite figured out what was happening. Because it's your job. No, it's not. I don't work here. I thought, more hoped, that was the end of it, so I turned to walk away. Liar! I watched you scan that. She then pointed to the bag holding my food. Lady, this is the self-checkout. You scan and bag your own stuff. No, I don't work here. I won't do your job for you. Stop being a lazy jerk and do your job. Nee, visibly upset now. Look, lady, I don't work here. I did, however, just get off my actual job. I want to go home and eat. Leave me the heck alone. I again turned to walk away, but this lady wasn't having it. She shoved her cart forward at me, which did hit me but didn't hurt me. At this point, my temper did get the better of me, and I shoved it right back at her. I'm a girl who's 17 and in high school, so I tend to lose my temper quite easy. The cart didn't hit her, but it hit the machines and made a super loud noise. This is when actual employee makes his glorious appearance into our story. As he approached, she was screaming something at me. I have no clue what. Actual employee. Excuse me, ladies. What is going on here? Your lazy employee is refusing to do her job. Actual employee just kind of looked at me, then looked at her. Actual employee was wearing a blue shirt and yellow vest. I clearly was not. Actual employee also knows me because I am in there more than I'd like to admit sometimes. Employee. She doesn't work here, ma'am. What is it you need help with? She does too. I watched her scan that. She once again pointed at my food. This is the self-checkout, ma'am. That's what you do here. What is it that you're needed help with? I just need my stuff scanned. Actual employee, now realizing what the lady wanted. Ma'am, this is the self-checkout. You have to do it yourself. At this point, I felt I was no longer needed, so I tried for the third time to turn and leave. I did hear her shout something at me, but I didn't care to listen to what she said. I don't know what happened after I left, obviously, but good God, some people. It was a fairly short interaction, but still an annoying one. Edit. I do point out that I am 17, but I don't look 17. I get mistaken for early 20s a lot. I more included that as to say how quick I am to anger. Next we've got entitled Home Ec Teacher Tries to Tell Student How to Cook Her Own Family's Recipe. Okay, so for context, I took a home economics course back when I was in 9th grade, so roughly in 2012. We had a teacher so entitled that she called herself the monarch of the classroom. She was a local pastor's wife who already had a pretty bad reputation, so her teaching at that school wasn't going to end well. We'll call her Karen for this story. Now the start. It was nearing the end of the semester, and our class was supposed to cook over a period of a week, taking a day for preparation for a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert. My group was assigned to make a dinner entree and a dessert, so I offered to bring a recipe that my mama had for a traditional beef and pork burger that was mixed with bell peppers, sautéed onions, breadcrumbs, and an egg. My mama is a native Czech woman who was raised in Germany, so her style of cooking was different from others. I was so happy to bring the recipe and buy the ingredients for the dish with my allowance so I could just show how good German-style cooking can be. Now, enter Karen. For the combining ingredients part of the recipe, at least the meat combination part, she minded her own business, occasionally telling me to just wash my hands after touching the meat. Things were fine until I started adding the breadcrumbs, eggs, and vegetables into the meat. Karen. What are you doing? Me. I'm just making my mama's recipe for frikadellen, the name of the burger dish. Karen. Why are you adding breadcrumbs? For flavor. And the eggs? They're used to keep the meat together. Where is your recipe card? I don't have one. Mama showed me how to make it plenty of times. Well, she should have written it down so I could read it. Excuse me? At this point, I was a little baffled. We weren't told to bring recipe cards before this, so I assumed we were just working on our own accord. Karen was getting pretty upset. You heard me. She should have written it down so I could read it. Me. You never told us to bring recipes, only to make sure we knew what we wanted to do and to know the steps. This makes her fall silent for a moment, so I continue what I was doing. After I formed the meat into thick patties, I head to the stove to turn it on, put the pan on the heated front plate, then add the oil and bring the patties. Karen was hovering over me, and my other group members were now nowhere to be seen. I pay no mind to it, putting the patties onto the pan. Karen was having none of it. You should let me cook those for you. Sorry, but no. They have to be cooked until a specific— Did I stutter? I was dumbfounded by this, knowing well that the last thing I wanted was for this woman to take over. Me. I'm sorry, but no. This isn't your typical hamburger, and it needs to be cooked in a specific way. I know what I'm doing. Clearly you don't. Now move! No! We were both close to shouting at this point. Don't talk back to me! This is my mother's recipe. You have no right to take over cooking something that you don't know about. This isn't a democracy, you know? This is a monarchy, and I'm the queen here. Me. I'm not letting you touch this pan. Do you want to get kicked out of my class and fail for the semester? This caused the room to fall silent. I was livid at this point, but calmed my composure. Me. No. You have no right to do so, for I am doing nothing wrong. You want to cook my mother's recipe, which I'm not going to let you do. You can monitor me all you want, but I will not let you take over. This shut Karen up, causing her to leave the room temporarily. The rest of my group members come back, confused, but I had a pretty stern look on my face. I knew I had won that battle, but the war was only beginning. Lucky for me and the others, Karen didn't bother us again about it again, and we all passed our cooking week. This Karen was so entitled that, just because she was the pastor's wife, she thought she could control everything we did. She was a snake. Thankfully, I never had to take another class with her, but that didn't stop the occasional glare as we passed each other in the hall. I just hope that other students stand up to her in the future. And shoutouts to our Regenerals of the day, Anne Swan, Mysterious Maker, Mr. Medic Man, and Devin Murphy. Become tomorrow's Regenerals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below. And watch this video next, you'll love it.